This screen recording is twofold. First, you are going to be reading pages 175 to 177 in the Northern Lights textbook, and you will be taking notes on this page on the causes of the U.S.-Dakota War. I'm going to get your notes page set up first, if you would follow along. So, you're reading pages 175 to 177 in the Northern Lights textbook. And right now, I'm going to give you the reading prompts or reading purposes. In other words, I'm going to tell you the 5 causes of the U.S.-Dakota War. You're going to find those 5 causes in the reading and then take additional supporting details on them. So, let's start listing the 5 causes. So we have cause 1 and cause 2 on the front side of the sheet. Cause 1 is whites want to make Dakota act or live like whites. And as you can see, this arrow shows that it's causing the war. You're going to find this in the reading, and you're going to take 3 notes on it. And actually, I'm going to do this first cause for you. Cause 2 that leads to the war is conflict between traditional and farm Dakota. And that causes the war. Cause 3, failure to pay annuities. And you're going to find this idea in the reading and take 3 supporting details on it. Cause 4, traders cut off credit. And cause 5 of the U.S.-Dakota War is Dakota are starving and desperate. And as you can see, these 3 causes all cause the war in conjunction with the 2 on the previous page. So, we have your notes page set up and ready to go. Again, I'm going to help you with this first cause and talk you through it. The reading itself, we're going to use path to go through it. So it's called Tensions Rise, which the causes come out of this. You're going to see that those 5 causes are not obvious. There's no headings telling you that here is cause 1, here is cause 2. You have to pick them out of the reading. So it's a little bit more challenging. This map is important. This is the area where almost all the action took place, or all the action did take place for the U.S.-Dakota War in southwestern Minnesota. And you have the reservation land, which, as you know, as of 1858 was cut in half, and the Dakota Reservation was in the southern half, and the northern part was taken from the Dakota in 1858. And then you got some important areas here. You have the Upper Sioux Agency and the Lower Sioux Agency, which we talked about. We've talked about New Ulm. You're going to hear a lot about Fort Ridgely, which is right here along the Minnesota River as well. So here, credit cut off and food withheld. This we know is one of the causes, so we're probably going to find information about that here. And then another one of the causes is the desperation that the Dakota began to feel, and here frustration builds among the Dakota, so we might find that. And that takes us to the end of the reading. So let's get started. Page 175, Northern Lights textbook. Tensions rise. As government officials and missionaries worked to change Dakota culture, tensions increased. The whites were always trying to make the Indians give up their life and live like white men, recalled the traditional Dakota leader Big Eagle, or Wahabititanka. The Indians wanted to live as they did before. If the Indians had tried to make the whites live like them, the whites would have resisted, and it was the same way with many Indians. So here I have details for my first cause. So I'm going to take some notes from this reading. And I have them detailed in advance. So I have whites want to make Dakota act or live like whites. And what we find out from what we just read is that the government wanted to change Dakota culture. The U.S. government wanted the Dakota to live like whites, and many Dakota did not want to live like whites. So from that single paragraph, I got all these notes, and I used this cause as my purpose. So I found this idea in the reading, and then these are the supporting details I was able to find. We'll pause now so you can get these written down. As more and more Dakota accepted European American ways, tensions rose among the Dakota themselves. Many traditional Dakota were angry because the government gave extra food, tools, and livestock to the farm Dakota. More importantly, traditional Dakota often blamed farm Dakota for abandoning their heritage. So in this paragraph, I see that there is tension between farm and traditional Dakota, which is one of the causes. For their part, farm Dakota had reasons for their actions too. Some truly believed in the changes they were making. Others thought adopting new ways would keep them safe. Both traditional Dakota and farm Dakota made decisions based on what they thought was best for their future. However, deep resentments developed that would last for years to come. So I have my reasons here. I have cause number 2, which is tension between farm and traditional Dakota, and I can take some additional notes on that. So as a group, we'll take notes in this box together on conflict between traditional and farm Dakota. We need to find 3 details that finish off this sentence. So tensions increased because, and we'll finish these off. Let's pause now and do that. This map shows communities on and near the Dakota Reservation. In 1858, Dakota leaders were forced to give up the northern half of their reservation by the U.S. government. We talked about that previously. How did this change connect to events described in this chapter? Right now, think about how cutting the reservation in half could start causing some of the problems that we see leading to war. Credit cut off and food withheld. Another source of tension was the fact that the U.S. government had not honored the terms of the treaties. Under the treaties of 1851 and 1858, the U.S. government was supposed to make regular payments of money, food, and supplies to the Dakota. As the Dakota were forced to live on smaller and smaller pieces of land, they became more dependent on these payments. Unfortunately, annuity payments often arrived later than expected. This was especially true in 1862, as gold coin was scarce due to the Civil War. So here we have one of our causes, right? Is that annuity payments are not being made, and we have the Civil War pop up. Remember how we went over the fact that the Civil War is costing a lot of money, and so these annuity payments weren't being made as a result. This is one of your causes of the Civil War, or sorry, one of your causes of the U.S.-Dakota War. So as a group, our table group now, you're going to deal with failure to pay annuities. And you're going to finish this sentence. Tensions increased because A, B, C. We will pause now so you can take care of that. When annuities were late, the Dakota often turned to the traders for food and supplies. The Dakota's relationship with the traders was strained as well. Part of the problem was many traders were married into Dakota culture. This made them part of Dakota kinship practices. While many Dakota expected traders to act like relatives and sell food and goods whenever needed, remember generosity was a key Dakota quality, many traders acted first as businessmen. So they went against that notion of generosity and thought, no, we need the money up front. In the summer of 1862, traders shut down the entire credit system. They refused to extend any more credit, so the Dakota could no longer buy the food and supplies they needed. So here is one of our causes, and it's cause number 4, is that because the annuities were not coming in. The Dakota couldn't pay the traders. Traders were feeling like they were not getting the money that they needed. They were upset by that, so they cut off credit. In other words, they weren't giving things and then just making a list of what the Dakota owed them. You are going to do this as an individual. So you can pause now and take your notes. And you'll be taking your notes here by cause 4, traders cut off credit. The traders were worried that if the annuity money never arrived, the Dakota would be unable to pay off their debts. When a group of Dakota leaders from the lower agency asked the traders to reopen their stores, the traders refused. From that time, the Indians and the traders were unfriendly, recalled the Dakota named Good Star Woman, or Wee Chunk Pi Wash Tip Wee. Frustration builds among Dakota. By the middle of August 1862, the Dakota at the lower agency, especially the traditional Dakota, were hungry, frustrated, and angry. The annuity payments were late, and Agent Galbraith refused to give them their food from the agency storehouse until the money arrived. Many Dakota were suffering from lack of food. Living on the reservation meant the Dakota could no longer travel the plains hunting for fresh meat, so they couldn't leave the reservation to find food. Their poor diet meant many Dakota, especially children, were unable to fight off sickness. The ongoing stalemate over annuities angered many Dakota. This added to Dakota frustration over loss of land and government efforts to change their traditional ways. Some Dakota wanted to remain peaceful. Others, though, were ready to fight back. So here we have perhaps another one, the fifth cause, which is the desperation the Dakota felt. And you will take notes for that. By cause 5, Dakota are starving and desperate. So tensions increased because, and you may need to revisit the reading. Okay, this concludes the screencast.